I'm pretty sure that listening to that on a loop for 2 hours is more straightforward, and probably more enjoyable. As always, here are spoilers and all. So I'm in luck because this was the film that was next to my list to which I was looking forward. I bought my ticket a month in advance to a screening of the film together with a Q&A at the Dome in Arclight, Hollywood. But as the credits rolled, I was sad to say that it was disappointing. Darren Aronofsky's films always have a tendency to be weird or cinematically off, but they always have a clear enough narrative. If you know anything about the Bible, then you know where this film was going, but it takes so many liberties with the Bible narrative that it becomes unrecognizable. I rewatched Black Swan hours earlier that day, and was still in awe of the magnificent quality of the film. Even though a few of Swan's scenes could have been cut, the powerful ending may be even more white-knuckling than that of Whiplash. I have loved Aronofsky's previous movies, but this one, I do not. Every director has those off days where their story just isn't right. Movies like Joy and The Big Short made me question the production and had a sour taste after the credits, but even those films had more believable characters and more clearly defined situations. Here, everything is presented in pretentious metaphor for intolerably long periods with the delusional imagery screaming at the audience. You get it? How about now? No, 'cause neither do we. Though audiences were only lukewarm to Noah, I was basically all in and loved the story. It was a retelling of a biblical event, while still creating unique perspectives at certain junctures. I had an urge to watch it over again repeatedly to lock in more detail. Mother tries to recreate not just a story or even a book, but rather the entire Bible in 2 hours. Don't believe me? Well, here is a synopsis of the entire film. It begins with a woman shown being burned. Cut to the title with the exclamation mark noted, and here we start the messy adventure. Jennifer Lawrence is shown waking up in bed yelling, "Babe!" She has a little 5-minute walk across the house, and Javier Bardem pops up to jump scare the audience. But don't worry, this happens only 3 more times in the next 10 minutes. No one even jumped when the sound is at its max. I won't negate the sound though, the mixing is quite good. We can see that they're alone and he's having writer's block. Ed Harris walks in to stay and he's really mysterious. Ooh, is he sick? Does he know Bardem? Audience is intrigued to find out. Michelle Pfeiffer then shows up and is his wife. Same scenes, same questions. He is nice, she is not. Okay, interesting enough. Then their sons show up. Next they're expecting their dogs. The lack of focus starts to unravel itself. We can clearly get the idea that this is Cain and Abel. Brother kills brother. So that means that the parents are Adam and Eve and so on and so on. Now it is shockingly clear that she is Mother Earth and he is God. But here is a problem. We're just watching scenarios played out only for grand life events with no clear character motives or decisions. We have seen before that Lawrence is painting a room, giving it new life. The gray color doesn't seem to fit, so she mixes brown and paints that. Doesn't move the story, but cool, why not? Anyways, they all leave, leaving her alone with evil. The camera is always handheld, which creates suspense, I guess. Sadly, the suspense weakens as nothing of interest happens. The doors are open, but evil is only there to leave, and Bardem comes back. They have a scuffle which almost becomes interesting, and then have a baby. They could have explored passion and greed as his fame begins to grow, but instead it's a biblical showcase. Now, instead of gathering of people, it's a flood. Haha, get it? With 5 times the amount stuffing into the house. The house is seen as a character itself, showing as a living, breathing device.
The house is alive!
But now the rest of the audience, as well as I, clearly lost interest as I heard and saw yawning, myself checking my watch with a second half to look forward to. People barge in and welcome themselves, causing a chaotic cinematic mess. Again, this could have been the least bit engaging, but instead we get pointless scenes that don't even allude to the imagery that they were intending. Like a kid pissing himself, a homeless man lying down, or carpet bleedings. I am an optimist, believing that everything in film has a purpose, but this is just nonsense. I get it, that the crowds of humanity and Bardem welcomes them as Lawrence is questioning everything. It doesn't mean I want to watch a movie about it. I actually enjoyed American Assassin's Pace better. Kristen Wiig randomly appears to be God's messenger, randomly shooting people violently. Her scenes in the downsizing trailer were better. Cut to the chase, Mother yells her way across a party in a war zone to finally being alone with God. She tells him no to touching the baby as he says the people deserve to see him. He waits for her to fall asleep, and this goes on far too long than it needs to. His stare is as awkward as it sounds. We finally get to the point as he steals him away and the people snap the baby's neck. Now look, I found the sequence more engaging than the rest of the scuffle, but it is still distasteful. She is finally broken and yells some more. They beat her and Bardem intervenes. She shows her powers, which are clearly visible, as we saw earlier in the film that her heart is connected to the house. She stabilizes the house and does a Professor X routine about every 15 minutes. Eventually, we lead to her blowing up the entire place. Bardem carries her burnt body to lay her down and visibly takes her heart. Wow! The ending of the film was only the beginning, as we see another woman wake up in bed yelling, "Babe." Brilliant! Or so Aronofsky thought. All the questions just boggle my mind for the visual meanings and become more of a Roanoke nightmare, sadly. What did I just watch? It had to be amazing because it made me think, right? That's what most audiences and critics will try to convince you. But I am just not buying it. Let me go back to Black Swan. We follow Nina transform from white to black, good to bad, through dancing and the illusions of metaphor had her skin peeling off with nightmarish scenes. That is brilliant. Not lifeless hollows of character grandeurs. I proudly give this a C+. Not an awful idea, but an awful transformation. Unfortunately, this emphasis of a political statement tale is not needed, and will probably be forgotten rather than discussed for future years to come. At the Q&A, he along with the producer stated that the Giving Tree was an inspiration. Interesting. You know what else is interesting? Stating that anything could be interpreted like Book of Henry. Making a movie saying anything goes cannot connect your audience to what you're presenting.
It's a really hard film to have a Q&A after. I just had this idea, and it came out of, just sort of these devices we're always hooked to, and just all this chaos that was going on, and I just kind of attacked my computer. I don't really like to be called impotent. It's about how insatiable people are. And I think every character, including Mother in this, is insatiable. She's insatiable. Anyway, I thought that was a good observation, too. I mean, the nice thing is there's room for interpretation.
I can write an essay or make a 30-minute interpretation of what every single moment means. But I'll end with this. Metaphor! Now that should have been the title.